Alright. Hello and welcome back to another episode of me playing Minecraft here and testing out different audio video settings, getting used to doing commentary and all of the like. So today's a little bit of an update episode here. Oh, we got clouds on. That's for the other series. Let's turn their clouds off. There we go. That's fine. Whoops. I actually wanted to check. Okay, good. We're still on standard difficulty there. So, today's going to be just a little bit of an update episode here. I have taken quite a bit of a break. It's been at least 2 weeks, I think. Before we get into that, let's just get a little bit of a panoramic view here. I think it's looking pretty good. You'll notice that I decided to scrap any additional sort of cylinders on the side there, and I've just gone ahead and gone with this sort of diagonal straight line towards the corners there. So, the reason I did that, and sort of the reason I've taken quite a bit of a break here, as with every... Where did it go? I saw that egg. I want that egg. Egg? Okay, well, you know what? I picked it up. That's what it was. Nothing. So, also what I've done is dug holes where the water flows down, so I no longer have that water issue. So that means I can go ahead and light things back up here. And on the ends here, I went ahead and did a 4 water, as opposed to these guys here were just a single water source. So on the ends here, the corners, we've got 4. Haven't done that on all, just on the front here, just to sort of see if I liked it. I think I do. I think it's a pretty good look. I'm honestly thinking it's getting to the point where it's done. I'm really not sure where I'm going to go from here, and that was sort of the reason, or one of the reasons anyway, why I haven't done much in, about 2 weeks or so now. I just sort of lost inspiration for the build itself, and I just didn't really know where to go with it. I jumped over to the creative world a little bit and played around with different cylinder things on the end, on the corners there, and just a bunch of different things, and the only thing I was really happy with at the end of the day was that sort of diagonal line thing. Why am I just jumping and not running at the same time? So that's all I was really happy with at the end of the day. I could have sworn I saw green and thought creeper, but no. Nope. Dodged that bullet. Bullet because gunpowder and bullets have gunpowder in them. But let's head on up to the top here. I think what I'm going to be doing from here on out is more interior designing stuff. Obviously this has absolutely nothing in it right now and looks pretty terrible from the inside view here. Definitely not liking that too terribly much. Are sound settings okay? Yeah, should be fine. So what I've done basically is just gone through, just dug a little bit of a 4 wide here, filled that in with water. Didn't necessarily need to jump in there. And then we've got this guy here, sort of this intermediate walkway almost. And that actually took a little bit of design time as well. You may have noticed from the ground that there was sort of just a single diagonal line on this position about 3 blocks down. Whoops. That basically gives the cobblestone, because that's the majority of what you see from the bottom. It sort of just breaks it up a little bit, gives it a little contrasting in color and texture and stuff like that. And then from the top here, you mostly got the wood, since again the sort of dominant texture and color is the cobblestone here. And so I just wanted to break that up a little bit and also give it a little bit of contrasting color to the rest of the cylinders and that sort of thing. And I think I'm satisfied at this point with what's going on here in terms of just using these bridges here and leaving this just sort of empty and flat, if you will, as opposed to trying to continue to build. But hello, let's go say hello to him. Do you have feather falling? Hello, friend. That's actually not very smart, because now I'm down to 2 hearts, and his pathfinding is good. Their pathfinding is kind of ridiculous now, so he must have spawned on up here. Well, that's you're living dangerously. I'm living dangerously. I was gonna say he's living dangerously, but no, I'm definitely one living dangerously. And he's dead. Oh, good, I got XP. This could be very dangerous. That could have been extremely dangerous. So I think I'm not going to do a whole ton of building today. I just wanted to do just sort of a little update thing here because I haven't done anything in probably 2 or 3 weeks now, and I'm just sort of I just lost motivation for it. So I think down here, I'm gonna want to do something. Probably end up doing some sort of storage down here for the different crops. Maybe just throw in some chests over here with some sort of design or something like that. Possibly maybe automate, or slightly automate things. We'll see. Down here is more or less okay. I would still like to maybe do, I don't know, tree farm, something like that, and I would still eventually like to get silk touch and be able to put grass here, because I think the brown is just sort of ugly color. But for the most part, I think down here is looking pretty good. Maybe end up going with some glowstone along the sort of rounded edge over here, since it is sort of dark there and kind of boring, a little bit boring. Probably end up replacing these here to match with that. But I'm definitely, a fan of sort of the different intricate levels and angles of everything. So when you're down here, you can see this walkway is sort of curving up that way, and that one's just that direction, and you got the squared off there and the landing up there. I definitely do like the whole different levels of everything. Down here is still sort of a functional mess at this point. Probably just gonna end up. It's probably gonna be the main living quarters since that's what it has been. Dang it, that's not what I wanted to do. Run back up here. So this will probably still continue to be the main sort of living situation here. Not really sure in terms of an interior design what I want to do. If I want to do like a sort of classic Minecraft layout, which is sort of medieval, or if I want to do more of a modern type layout, or sort of a postmodern type layout. I'm at this point, I definitely am not sure. Excuse the chair noise. What I want to do there. We'll sort of see as I start building. So that's kind of the cool thing with this build, is that it doesn't necessarily conform to any of those pre-existing. That needs to be moved over one. This build here doesn't really conform to any pre-existing type thing. So it's not like a medieval style. It's not like a modern style. It's just sort of a free floating, well, cylindrical style, if you will. Hence why it's been named the cylinder. But of course, that makes it easy and more difficult when you're trying to do design-wise inside. That if you had a theme, you could stick to it. Since there is no theme here, it's sort of hard to stick to one that doesn't exist, and you sort of have to create one of your own. So that sort of is going to be an interesting thing. Probably going to end up moving enchanting stuff up to the top, maybe brewing up to the top. So this is probably going to end up being sort of a living and storage area. Then downstairs will be a farming and storage area, and then up top here will be sort of the magic area, if you will, with enchanting and potion brewing and the likes. But that's sort of the design, where I'm at in terms of design at this point. And I'm really just trying to find some inspiration into what to do next. So I addressed it in the other series I've got going, the sort of adventure series. I've just been sort of burnt out on just the game in general, and I've been super busy. I've been working, going to school. I have now 11 days off between terms, between the summer term and the fall term, and I'm taking probably 15 or 16 units, depending on if I end up dropping a class or not, and course load and all that kind of stuff. So, and between that and extracurriculars, I'm just not going to have a whole ton of time for this kind of stuff. So if I don't have that creative inspiration right off the bat, I'm not gonna have 2 hours to sit and just not record something. So I may end up moving on in terms of projects and coming back to this one when the inspiration hits me. Probably off camera, I'll go ahead and finish these two, add the other water sources. I think there's two more that need to be added. Fix, let's see, fix that one over there needs to be fixed. But and in terms of design, I've never really done it. I've never been big into doing it and into the big detail work. So it's not something I've messed around with before. So I think that's also going to be sort of an interesting thing to try, and that's also going to be something that I'm going to need more time to work on. So okay, if I just fall directly back, this should work. That was a pretty cool view, I think. I think that was pretty darn cool. So that's sort of where everything stands at this point. In terms of next build, I don't really have an idea. Not sure if I want to do another freestanding, if I want to do something else. I'm thinking what could be kind of cool is to maybe dig out just an area, just dig out a huge area down to bedrock, and then have that sort of be a either supporting structure to some giant thing in the sky. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go with realistic physics next time. Obviously, a floating structure is not realistic physics, or if I'm going to end up going more traditional. In the past, that's generally what I've done, but the builds tend to end up looking fairly boring and traditional themselves. So I'm not too sure. This guy was mighty close to our chicken farm here, which there are about a billion chickens. This is probably full. We're getting darn close to it. Let's oops, make some room here. Give ourselves some more, propagate some more chickens here in the land of Cylindaria. I don't know. So yeah, that's sort of the state of this build and what's going on here. Definitely not gonna completely abandon it. I definitely do want to complete it to completion. Yes, complete it to completion. Finish it completely and just, have at least some closure on that. I definitely do want to start working on the next thing. Again, I'm not sure what that is, and I don't know in terms of ideas if I wanted to go with more of a realistic style. I don't really know what that's going to entail, because in the past I've done creative, just full creative mode builds with that kind of thing, and they tend to be intricate, but they're not at this level, and I don't necessarily want to revert back to below sort of a build level like this, if that makes sense. Sort of revert back to traditional thinking that is just not going to be something that I end up liking in the end. So we'll see there. I definitely like the idea of trying to do something a little bit more, maybe modern, traditional, maybe something that's cliffside. Maybe, who knows, we'll build something in between those two cliffs and use those cliffs as a sort of a support, something like that, that the house or build, whatever the build may end up being, just sort of ties into. But that's definitely going to be something I'm going to want to work out in creative beforehand. So I would say probably expect more of the adventure series ones, since those ones don't take as much time to produce and all that kind of stuff. I basically just have to sit down and start recording and tell a story or two. And that brings me sort of to the other little thing that I want to talk about. I think I'm going to end up changing the format here of the series. The past sort of, I don't know, at 8, I think this is what, 9? Episode 9 or... No, this is probably episode 8. 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. One of those. But basically what I've been doing is I will have sort of a quote or joke or something of the day to sort of inspire something to talk about, some commentary to give. And that ends up taking extra time. To do a 20, 30, 40-minute video, you got to basically double that time in terms of, and sometimes even triple or quadruple in terms of, finding things to talk about. So finding the quote of the day, the joke of the day, all that kind of stuff, and then doing the video, and then editing, and then so first the software I use, Camtasia, what it'll do is it'll first save it. So if it's a hour long thing at 60 frames per second at 720p, it'll take maybe 5 to 8 minutes just to save it, and then you go into the edit mode, and that takes another 2 or 3 minutes for that to render itself editable. And then from there you can make whatever edits you need to. Hello. And then after that, oh, I got a bow. Oh, that's a really good bow too. It's not damaged at all. Put you in equipment. Yes. Then after you've got it edited, then you go in and render and upload, and that takes another, depending on the video length, anywhere from, I got other mob drops here, anywhere from, like, if it's like a almost hour-long video, that could take half an hour in itself to render, and another half hour to upload, depending on if YouTube is, acting foolish. So I think I'm going to end up changing the format to more of a, I don't want to call it relaxed style, but it's not going to be I must have gotten that iron from that zombie who died. Because why else would I have a random piece of iron on me? I'm not sure. Put that up. So that's I think what is going to end up happening. I may end up continuing doing question things if I sort of feel like there's not a ton in terms of commentary that happens, but we'll see. We'll see where sort of things go and end up. And I just want to sort of to give a quick update video on why just nothing's really happened and why nothing's changed here in such a long time. So yeah, anyway, I think that is going to do it. Bit of a shorter episode, bit of more of an update episode here, and yeah, so I think that's going to about do it. So until next time, I will see you next time.